Eunice, licensed professional counselor, also the host of We Need to Talk on every Sunday here at noon. And then this video is posted up to Facebook. This video is for educational and informational purposes only. If you feel you need a therapist, please go to Google, type in therapy. Your city, Psychology Today will pop up. Click on that and it will have qualified therapists in your area. Also, the views and opinions stated herein are mine and mine alone. They do not represent the ACA, the APA, or any other damn therapist for that matter. Boom, shakalaka, done. Wow, the weather is crazy go nuts here. So it started getting cold and I was like thinking, oh, yay, it's going to be wintertime. And then no, today's going to be 82 degrees. I just, okay. It's supposed to be 90 later this week. I don't get that. Anyway, all right. So I wanted to remind you, go buy Shahida's book. It's amazing. I love this woman. She did a fantastic book and it's got like journal entries, things to do, exercises, and it's called The Highly Sensitive Person's Guide to Dealing with Toxic People, How to Reclaim Your Power from Narcissists and Other Manipulators. Fantastic book. Get it. It's amazing. And no, I'm not getting a kickback from Shahida. It's just, I like recommending books that I think help people. Splitting, if you are in a divorce or about to be in a divorce with a toxic person. Splitting by Bill Eddy and Randy Krieger. Great book because it basically, everything I say is in this book, you know, exactly how they're going to behave and what you need to prepare yourself for. So good book, Splitting, get it. Also, my book is available on Amazon, or you can buy it from my store. I can autograph it for you. That's chriscodinas.com. So you can order it from there and I will autograph it. This you can get on Audible. So I do the reading of it and it's also available on Amazon. And then of course there is Susanna Quintana's book, which is You Are Still That Girl. If you are outside of Arizona, Susanna Quintana is your girl. I cannot counsel outside the state of Arizona and I get a lot of requests for that. And I understand and I wish I could, but unfortunately, the state boards have not caught up with technology or common sense for that matter, and they are prohibiting counselors from going across state lines. So anyway, at least the state of Arizona is. So anyway, there's that. Okay, so today's topic is kind of big. So let's cover this. Rewiring your brain so that you can make yourself bulletproof. Why is this important? Well, we are unfortunately in the middle of Hoover season. So Hoover season started like around October and it's going to last all the way through to February 14th, Valentine's Day. And we've got on top of that, the whole pandemic thing. And so I'm hearing a lot of targets of abuse going, oh, guess who I just heard from that I haven't heard from in 20 years. And I'm like, oh, I'm not surprised. So there's going to be a whole bunch of hoovering going on. You're either going to get the pandemic hoover, which is, oh, you know, it's really serious out there. And, you know, we should just bury the hatchet and why don't we become friends? I'm sorry, what? You know, or we're getting the whole holiday. Oh, baby, do you remember how we used to hang the lights on the Christmas tree and drink hot cocoa and how wonderful that was? And I miss you so much. Oh my good God. Yes. So we are getting both the holiday hoover and the pandemic end of the world hoover. Don't fall for it. And this is a really dangerous time for targets of abuse because when we come out of an abusive relationship, we've got a couple of things, more than a couple of things, but we've got a couple of things for sure going on. One is CPTSD, complex, meaning it happened over and over again, post, after the fact, stress, anxiety, disorder, not handling it well, okay, got CPTSD going on, and you're still dealing with the after effects of Stockholm Syndrome, trauma bonding. So this is why it's hugely important to start rewiring your brain. You must be mindful. Let's take CPTSD first, and then I'm going to move on to Stockholm Syndrome. And at each instance, I'm going to give you tools that you can use to kind of start help rewiring the brain. I have got to turn off the sound. Hang on. Whoa, where'd it go? There it is. Okay, there it is. Sorry. So in CPTSD, one of the common things is avoidance. Number one, we start avoiding things that remind us of where we got hurt because that's our amygdala. So little rewind here. The amygdala is what tries to keep us safe, but the problem with the amygdala is it is stupid. 3 O's, stupid. Cannot tell the difference between past, present, future. Thinking about a threat, a real threat, an emotional threat, thinking about an emotional threat. It's all here now, here now, here now to the amygdala. So we've got to start rewiring the way we deal with thoughts that come in and hit the amygdala. So when we have PTSD, we are going to have a lot of panic attacks. We just are, because our amygdala is on high alert. We're hypervigilant. We're looking. Where's the danger? Where's the danger? Where's the danger? Where's the danger? Well, that is exhausting. So it's good to be alert, but you don't want to be hypervigilant. You don't want to be on high alert all the time, because y'all are going to burn out. You're not going to be able to maintain that level of, you got to come down and chill. So what happens is a threat hits the amygdala, right? And then it lights up like a Christmas tree, and it goes, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, we're in danger. Hippocampus, hypothalamus on either side goes, oh my God, we need cortisol. Cortisol is our stress hormone. So then our body floods with cortisol. We start tensing up. Shoulders and ears become one. We stop breathing. We take puffy little breaths that don't go anywhere. And then the next thing you know, another part of the brain kicks in and goes, oh shit, we really are going to die. And then it says, we need adrenaline. We need more energy. We got to get out of here. So then it tells the adrenal gland that sits on top of the kidneys to release everything at once. So now we're shaking like a leaf. Okay. Racing thoughts, pounding heart, puffy little breaths, not going anywhere. And at this point, you're either going to go into a stereotypical panic attack, which is, oh my God, I can't breathe. And then you keel over because you're hyperventilating, or you turn into the Incredible Hulk. Now, this is something that somebody had asked me earlier this week. They were like, can you please talk about the short temper and the snappiness and I just seem to be angry all the time. That is part of CPTSD. That is part of PTSD. That is unfortunately why you see so much divorce going on with veterans, because they're not managing their anger that comes out of the PTSD. So post-traumatic stress disorder, part of that is you are irritable like nobody's business. Like seriously, like I think when people come out of abusive relationships, they have the mistaken idea that somehow it's going to be, and everything's going to be great, and Julie Andrews is going to be running through a meadow, and you're going to be hearing symphony music, and it's going to be fabulous. Well, it is, but there are still things in play that are happening in your brain, in your body, that you're going to have to work on. So PTSD is one of them. The irritability is one of them. You're going to be on an emotional roller coaster when you have left your abuser. Why? Well, okay. Now we're getting into the addiction part of it. No, we are not addicted to the abuse per se. We are addicted to the intermittent positive rewards that we get from the abuser. And we are desperate to get back that illusion that they had on, that mask that they had on in the very beginning when they were love bombing. And they were the perfect match, and they were the perfect everything. And they were because what our minds do is they do a coulda, shoulda, woulda, okay? And we ruminate, right? Meaning we chew the cud. So we grab the past, we throw it in our mouth, and we go for days, hours, weeks, whatever. And that leads us to the whole thing about I miss my abuser, which comes into Stockholm Syndrome. Oh, Lord. All of this is interconnected, guys. Nothing happens in a vacuum. So with the PTSD comes irritability, because there's a whole bunch of emotions going on. You get out of the abusive situation, we have this misdirected anger. We do. And usually we take it out on ourselves. Oh, why did I allow that to happen? Why did I do this? Why didn't I leave sooner? Why didn't I? Or we find ourselves snapping at the very people who love us. So, a lot of people are like, what the fuck? And I'm like, okay, here's what's going on. We have a tendency, everybody, not just survivors of abuse, but everybody has a tendency to take out anger on the safest person as opposed to the person it belongs to. So if you find yourself snapping, if you find yourself angry, if you find yourself There's a couple of things going on. One, PTSD. Yeah, you're going to be irritable. You're absolutely going to have anger. You absolutely are. You've got a lot to be angry about, but you got to put it onto the correct person. So in CPTSD from Surviving to Thriving by Pete Walker, I think it's chapter 3 or 4, he talks about putting it back on the abuser, the shame, the blame, the anger, the guilt, the whatever it is, you put it back on them. And remember, anger is not a pure emotion. All of the other emotions are pure. Love is love, lust is lust, happy is happy, sad is sad. Anger is always driven by fear. And I've had people argue with me on this, and it's so funny because the person who was arguing with me on this was a veteran, and I'm like, okay, so let's just analyze it. And he finally was like, damn it, you're right. And I'm like, So, because nobody, and especially veterans, don't like to be afraid because it's frightening. Fear is frightening. It is. And if you're trained all the time to ignore your emotions and to not experience fear and to not have fear, and then suddenly to be a civilian and then having to express and feel normal emotions in order to have a healthy relationship, it's frightening. So anger is driven by fear. It is the fear of being harmed. Okay. Anger is the bodyguard of the softer emotions. It is the bodyguard of fear. It is the bodyguard of sadness. So oftentimes what targets of abuse will do is they'll feel fear or they'll feel sad. And instead of getting sad or fearful, they go to anger. Learned behavior in part. We learn it from watching our families. If the family of origin was abusive and that's the only anger was the only emotion that they could express, then that's what we learn, is that we get angry with everything. That's not healthy. And it's frightening or scary to put the anger back onto the person it belongs to. So for example, when I was in my abusive family, I could never get mad at my dad because he was 6'5" and he had hands like frying pans. And I would end up on the other side of the room after he'd hit me, kind of going, what just happened? So it wasn't safe. And so when you come out of an abusive relationship like that, you're also going to be picking up fleas. So that is another part of where that anger is coming from. We've learned these bad behaviors by being in close proximity to an abuser. So what do abusers do? They rage. They scream, they shout, they belittle, they yell, they put down, they allow something to ruin their entire day. There was a great meme. Let's see if I can find it. I posted it this morning on We Need to Talk. Hang on, let me see if I can find it. And it just kind of spoke to what I'm talking about today. There it is. So you want to be happy, then stop letting the small things ruin your whole day. Because that's what abusers do. They allow small things to ruin their whole day. It's their excuse. It's just like a drug addict or an alcoholic. Well, this one little thing happened, so I'm going to go drink. I'm going to go use. Well, with an abuser, it's this one little thing happened. I'm going to rage. That's their addiction. They love to rage because it jacks up the endorphins, the dopamines, the serotonins. If you're bored with your daily routine, do something unexpected. Stop complaining about how alone you are when you are surrounded by people who actually care about you. Forget all the drama and let go of the grudges you've been holding. Stop wasting time lingering over all that you could have, should have, and would have done, which is mental mindfuck, right? Coulda, shoulda, woulda. Stop spending your days thinking of how much better you could do. Stop longing for things that have been and always will be out of your reach, the abuser. Just live the days as they come. Wake up every morning and smile at the wonderful day that awaits you. Take a risk for once. Let yourself be happy because you deserve it. So I thought that was very apropos because when we are in an abusive relationship, we learn by watching our abusers that one little thing will ruin the day. One little thing will, set the tone for the entire evening. One little thing. And it's like, no, and no. So we pick up fleas from our abuser. And one of the fleas that we pick up from them is the very bad habit of raging. Screaming, yelling, shouting, anger, just blanket anger all the time. And part of that is because it does jack up our endorphins, dopamine, serotonins. And we have been addicted to those intermittent positive rewards. And when those are no longer there, our brain starts going, well, where's the reward? Where's the reward? Where's the reward? So we either go into anger, like I was talking about, or now flipping it over, or we are dealing with Stockholm Syndrome. So this is the other dangerous thing that people are telling me is that, oh my God, I miss my abuser. Oh my God, I miss them. I miss them. I miss them. I miss them. I want them in my life. No, you don't. Well, you might miss them, but you don't want them in your life. So here's the thing. When abusers hoover, they will promise you the sun and the moon, and they will promise you that they are in therapy and that they're going to change and things will be so much better and that they really love you. Let me just make this perfectly clear. Love is consistent. Love is kind. Love is respectful. Love does not rage. It does not seek its own power or control. Love is non-ego. Love is unconditional. Love is trustworthy. Okay? Abusers are not trustworthy, and they seek their own ego, and they seek power, and they seek control. So it's very dangerous for us when we come out of a relationship. Now we're in this Hoover season, as I like to call it, and we've got still the remnants of Stockholm Syndrome going on. Stockholm Syndrome being trauma bonding. So we are bonded to our abuser through the intermittent positive rewards and through the abuse, which is horrible. So what they do is they treat us horribly, treat us horribly, treat us horribly. Then suddenly they're back to being that wonderful prince or princess in shining armor. And, oh, I love you. And, let's go have fun and let's do that. Let's do that. Doesn't last very long. And then boom, they're back into devalue, discard. You're stupid. You're fat. You're old. You're this, you're that. You guns. Right. And so then we start feeling horrible about ourselves and we start thinking about leaving. And then boom, they're nice again. And so we start, oh no, they're back. Oh no, this person that I love. No, the real person, the real them is back. The real them is the abusive piece of shit. Hate to break it to you. It sucks. It sucks. It sucks when you realize that the person you thought you knew, the person you thought you respected, the person you thought you loved was an illusion. They were an illusion. They were not real. That person does not exist, except when they deem to use it as a manipulation to suck you back into their orbit. So with Stockholm Syndrome, we have this amazing ability to have abuse amnesia. So what we start doing is we start not remembering the bad times, and we start taking a walk down the primrose path to hell and remember only the good times. So what you have to do when you are in the middle of this, when you start ruminating, when you start thinking about the good times, when you start thinking about, oh, it was so nice when we spent Christmas together, or when we did Thanksgiving, or, whatever, or Valentine's, or whatever is going on, or New Year's, or whatever, or they do the pandemic Hoover, oh gosh, maybe I should bury the hatchet. What you are going to do is you are going to write down every single reason you left. Why did you leave? What was the behavior that was happening that caused you to have to get out of there to save your life? So, and you put that where you can see it, so that when, not if, when your brain starts taking a walk down memory lane and starts going, oh, but I really love them. Well, yes, you did. You loved the illusion. There's no question of that. However, the illusion is not real. The illusion is not who they really are. Who they really are is when they were abusing you. That's the real them. That's the sucky part of it. That's the devastating part of it, is to realize that that person that we loved never existed. And they mirrored us. They mirrored us. So, and that sucks. So, okay. So with the anger and with the rumination, so here's what you're going to do. With the anger, you're going to write and burn, or write a letter addressed to your abuser, not sending it. Do not send it. Do not send it. Do not fucking send it. You're going to write a letter getting out everything, all the anger on the appropriate person. Because like I said, when we're dealing with PTSD, we're putting it off on the wrong people. We're directing it at people who are safe, right? Or we're turning it inwards, because that too is safe. or we're just exploding and, you know, doing the dopamine, serotonins, endorphins, because that's what we're used to. And our brain is going, why isn't this here anymore? Why isn't this here anymore? Why isn't this here anymore? So what you're going to do is you're going to write it out. You're going to write out your anger. You're going to get it back on the person it belongs to. Put it back on the abuser. Dear abuser, the good, the bad, the ugly, the horrific. And at the very, very end, you just let them have it with whatever you wanted to say, but you couldn't say because it wasn't safe enough to say. And then you take your power back. At the very end, you know what? You do not get to live in my head rent-free one more goddamn minute. Fuck yourself sideways with an unlubricated baseball bat. I am not dealing with you anymore. I am not going to take my anger out on people that I love and that love me. I am going to put my anger back on you where it belongs. And if I have to write this letter 20 times, I fucking will. Go fuck yourself. Have a nice life. And by that, I mean, go fuck yourself. Love me. And then trot it out to the barbecue and burn it. Read it out loud once, burn it, or take it into your therapist and work it through. So that's how you deal with the anger. So when you find yourself angry, the first question you have to ask yourself is, where's the fear? And does this anger belong? Is this appropriate? Is this appropriate response to the situation? Because again, learned behavior. When you're with an abuser, they will go from 0 to 120 in half a second over nothing, like literally nothing. And then we find ourselves doing fleas. So it's fleas. It's bad behaviors that we have picked up from the abuser. You got to squish them. You got to squish them. That's not you. That is not who you are. Who you are is not this raging maniac over here that was abusing you. That's not you. So that's how you start dealing with the anger. You always ask yourself, is it appropriate? What am I really angry about? And what's driving the anger? What's the fear? What am I afraid of? Am I afraid of being hurt? Am I afraid of being disappointed? Am I afraid of being let down? Am I afraid of, where's the fear? So that's how you deal with that. And you've got to be mindful. So that really means when you're feeling angry, the first thing you have to ask yourself is, what is going on? Is this appropriate to the situation? And am I angry at the appropriate person? Or is this really about my abuser? Or is this really about my family of origin? Or is this really about my boss? Or is this really about, do you see where I'm going with that? So you've really got to be mindful. What's going on? When did this happen? Why did this happen? Where is this coming from? Is this really this person, or is this really about something else? And you've got to own it. You've really got to own it, because that's something that abusers never do. They never own their anger. They are never willing to take a look at themselves ever in a poor light. So there is that. And that is part of PTSD. And then flipping over to the trauma bonding. Oh, I miss them. I miss them. I miss them. I miss them. So again, this is an addiction, guys. This really is an addiction. Listen to me now, believe me later. This is an addiction. So what they will do is they will do the intermittent positive rewards. First of all, they come off like gangbusters, love bomb, love bomb, love bomb. Okay. Then they do the intermittent positive rewards. You know, everything's great, everything's great, everything's great. Then boom, suddenly they start devaluing and discarding. And then we're like, whoa, 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 where did this person that I loved go? What's happening? What's going on? And then they keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it until you're finally ready to leave. Then boom, sunshine and roses. They come back and love bomb you, love bomb you, love bomb. So it's this intermittent positive rewards. And we get addicted to the highs. And here's the other crazy thing. If we came from a family that groomed us to be with an abuser, so there was chaos in the family, there was lots of arguing, lots of anger, lots of hurt, lots of drama, lots of whatever, we come out of an abusive relationship and our endorphins, dopamines, and serotonins are so used to those highs and then those lows and then those highs and then those lows. It's like an addict. It really, honest to God, is. And that is why our brains start going, oh, I want to think about them and I want to remember them and I want to think about all the good times. And it's no different than a drug addict. Seriously, drug addicts do the same thing. It's like when I was working in the homeless shelter, it was interesting, I think is a good way to put it, to watch how when somebody got clean and sober, they would start romanticizing their drug use and trying to talk about it in group. And we had to stop them. We're like, no, you're in a homeless shelter, dude. What are you romanticizing? and then get them back to reality, and then helping them realize it's like you're trying to regain that feel-good feeling by talking even about your drug of choice, and so it really is like, okay, with alcoholics and addicts, drug dreams. Drug dreams. My friend Rocky, he freaked out one day because he had a drug dream, and he was like, I've been clean and sober for 30 years, and oh my God, I had a dream about using, what the fuck, and I'm just like, okay, calm down. It's like, this happens. This happens. It's because our brains are going, where's that thing or that person that was so immensely important to us? So oftentimes when we leave an abusive relationship, we do have that withdrawal from them because of the trauma bonding, because of the addiction, right, to the highs, okay, or the addiction to the drama. That's the other thing. And so we have to really talk ourselves off the ledge and do not allow the coulda, shoulda, wouldas, okay? I could have done this, I would have done that, I should have done that. Well, what if I did things differently? What if I made him love me? What if I made her, happy? Stop. It's a mind fuck. It really is. It's just a way to make yourself feel terrible. And it is laying the doors wide open for relapse, meaning relapse going back to your abuser, or even answering the phone, or even taking the text. So a lot of us, when we leave the relationship, it's almost like there's this fear of shutting the door completely. And so we don't block them on social media. We don't block them on the phone. We don't block their email. You kind of leave like this back door open. Addicts do the same thing. Addicts always leave a back door open, always, so that they could possibly maybe sort of kind of go back to their drug of choice. You have got to shut and lock those doors. Seriously, like shut, lock, chain, bar, hammer, nail, make them closed, put a magic spell on them. I don't care what you have to do, but shut them so that there is no more contact with this person. And I think a lot of us coming out of an abusive relationship live in the hope that somehow they're going to change, and somehow they're going to remember who they are and be that wonderful person and remember how great it was, and why can't they just be like that? But you've got to get over that thinking. That's magic thinking. They do not change. Narcissists do not change. Psychopaths do not change. They do not. And healthy, normal people do not revel in the harm. They don't revel in hurting someone. They don't get that nasty smirk that abusers get when they hurt somebody. You know what I'm talking about? Like when they've just landed a really hurtful thing, and it's like, like, ooh, I like that. Ooh, that was delicious. Oh, fuck you. You know what I'm saying? So healthy, normal people don't do that. And so when we get into a healthy relationship, or when we're thinking about getting into a healthy relationship, it's hard for us to even imagine what that could possibly be like. And so we sabotage ourselves, which is why I'm talking about rewiring your brain. So in order to rewire your brain, you have to not allow the thoughts of what if, like what if I did things differently? What if I, or coulda, shoulda, woulda, could I have done this? Should I have done this? Would I have done this? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Or when you start taking a trip down memory lane, you're going to have to do thought stopping. Listen to me now. Believe me later. The way to stop this is you write out, first of all, you write out every rotten thing they ever did to you and put it somewhere where you can see it. Secondly, when you have that thought first thing in the morning, because I can guarantee you, your abuser is going to be right there first thing in the morning. It's like if you've just left the abuse, your first thought is going to be of that person, because that person has been your main focus for how many days, weeks, months, years? Do you see where I'm going with that? They have been the thing that we have tried to take care of, tried to fix, tried to heal, tried to make happy, tried to get to love us for how long? And so they're always going to be that first thought, at least in the beginning. So what we're going to have to do is something called thought stopping. Now, when we resist a thought, that's when the thought is just always going to be there. So I like to call resistant thoughts the pink elephant taking a shit in the corner of the living room. So when the pink elephant pops up, instead of going, oh, pink elephant. Oh, I do not want to think about that. Oh, I'm not thinking about it. I'm not thinking about it. I'm not. What the fuck are you thinking about the whole time? The pink elephant. Instead, what you want to do is you want to acknowledge it. Yep, pink elephant, there you are. I see you. I hear you. And I choose to not entertain you. I am not inviting you in for coffee. I'm also not going to resist you, but I am going to send you down the road because I am not interested. Bye-bye. Bye-bye now. Bye-bye. Now, the next thing you have to do is thought replacement. So what our big thing is that we have focused all of our energy onto our abuser. All of our energy. All of our energy. Like, seriously, every waking moment has been, are they happy? Are they okay? Oh gosh, they texted me. I need to get back to them. Oh, wow, I took too long at the grocery store and they're mad now and I need to prove to them that I'm where I say I am. Our every thought has been wrapped around them. When we leave the abuser, our every thought now has to be about us. Let me just say that again. Our every thought now, when we leave the abuser, is now about us. I know. I could hear everybody's minds exploding. So, and it's true, because when we are with the abuser, our every thought is bent on making them happy, making them satisfied. Do they love me? Is everything good? Are we okay? Da 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 da. And then when we leave, there's that void, and then we start calling the abuser up in our own head, pink elephant, and we either resist it or we invite it in and we serve it coffee. And then it just sits there and shits in our head, which is blah. And then we start missing the abuser and we forget abuse, amnesia, all of the horrible things that our abuser did to us. So it's really important that when that thought pops up, oh, hello, pink elephant. Yep, I see you. I hear you. I'm not inviting you in for coffee. You know what? It is no longer about you anymore. You are not a part of my life, but you know who is? I am. So guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to do mirror work. Go. Bye-bye. Bye-bye now. Bye-bye. Right when you get work. Bye-bye. Seriously, it's not about them anymore. You must, the second that pops up and you want to think about your abuser, you have to replace it with you. Get your ass out of bed. Go to the mirror. Hello. Hello. Hi. Good to see you. Have a great day. You know what? It's okay to think about yourself. It's okay to put yourself on the front burner. It's okay to like yourself and then walk out. So every single time you think it's about them and that you need to think about that, it is no longer about them. Stop looking at their social media. Block them. Stop looking at texts. Delete them. Stop looking at old emails. Get rid of them. It is now about you, and it has to be. So the techniques you're going to use for all of this is writing and burning. You're going to put the anger back on the appropriate person. You're going to write it out. You're not going to confront them. Confronting the abuser is not going to do any good. Do not send these letters. The abuser is just going to take it and use it for fuel. They're going to use it for narcissistic supplies. So what you're going to do is you're going to write and burn, or you're going to write and bring it into your therapist and work it through with them, one of the two. With the rumination, you have to write out every rotten thing that they've ever done to you and put it somewhere where you can see it, because we do suffer from amnesia. We do. Abuse amnesia. We do. We forget how bad it is. We minimize it because of the Stockholm Syndrome. So remember, Stockholm Syndrome, trauma bonding, is where a group of people in Stockholm, Florida, no. Stockholm, Florida, no. Sweden, sorry. Brain gone. Stockholm, Sweden were taken hostage. Within a week, by the time the police were able to get in and free the hostages surrounded the hostage takers and protected them and insisted that they were their friends. And they didn't realize it at the time, but it was trauma bonding. It was trauma bonding. Their lives depended on these people. So they bonded and they minimized the abuse. They minimized the danger. They minimized the fact that these people put them in harm's way. And that's what we do. We have a tendency, when we have trauma bonding going on, to minimize. And you cannot do that. That is dangerous. Denial is deadly. I cannot say that enough. So anyway, so you're going to stop the denial. You're going to write out every rotten thing they ever did. You're going to put it back onto the abuser. When those thoughts pop up, you're going to have to do thought stopping. No, pink elephant. I see you. I hear you, but I'm not inviting you in. And thought replacing. You know what? It is about me now. I get to take care of me. I am going to go do something good for me. I'm going to work on the Self-Esteem Workbook by Glenn Schiraldi. I'm going to work on The Disease to Please by Harriet Breaker. I'm going to work on CPTSD, From Surviving to Thriving by Pete Walker. I am going to go for a walk. I am going to take care of myself. I love myself enough to do that. So that's what you're going to start doing. Wow, big topic. Thank you guys for bringing that up. So I just wanted to validate the emotions are going to be, and I'm running a little over, but I will get to the questions. The emotions are going to be all over the place. When you leave an abuser, you're going to be angry, you're going to be sad, you're going to be hurt, you're going to be scared, you're going to be lonely, you're going to be all of these things. But it's really important to not run from those feelings. Don't run into another relationship. You're not ready. You know, it's time to work on you. You, above all others, are worthy of your own love, your own time, and your own attention, so that when you are ready for a relationship, your picker is fixed. You're not picking people based on the past, trying to fix a family of origin issue. You're not picking somebody like your abuser. You're picking and choosing healthy behaviors. Healthy. Wow. Okay, so there is that. All right, let's dive into the questions. Where is there it is. Okay. Are most addicts narcissistic or full-on narcissist? Okay, so when somebody is in the thrall, I think the word is thrall, of addiction, they are very selfish. They act like a narcissist, but no, they are not full-blown NPD. Now, however, you can be an addict and have NPD. So it's really hard to tell what's going on until you get the drugs and the alcohol out of the person. And then you can start seeing whether this is a personality disorder or whether this was just, because of the drugs and the alcohol. So when I was working at the homeless shelter with the drug and alcohol addicted population, you would get people clean and sober. And more often than not, they were fine, relatively speaking, once you got the drugs and the alcohol out of the system and they were able to think clearly and they were able to take responsibility. Every once in a while, you would get one that was like, oh, damn, you dark triad, fabulous, And so, yeah. But addiction by its own nature is selfish and it is harmful and it is hurtful and they will do anything for their drug of choice. So it's hard to tell until you get the drugs off and the alcohol off. And so you can see how the person is without all this stuff in their brains. So I hope that answered the question. I find myself questioning in my mind if my narc is really a narc. How do I know they are really narcissistic or if I am being paranoid? Please read The Object of My Affection is in My Reflection, Coping with a Narcissist by Raquel Lerner. That will describe the different types of narcissistic behavior. So, overt, covert, communal, etc. And basically, if they're harming you and if they're not apologizing, if they are arrogant, haughty, et cetera, all the things I've ever talked about, if they're doing those behaviors, then trust your gut. If they're making you feel less than, that is not a healthy relationship. So read The Object of My Affection is in My Reflection, Coping with a Narcissist by Raquel Lerner. That would be the most definitive way for you to ease your mind. So there that is. Is there such a thing as abuse denial? Yes. Maybe they did it because they were angry, making excuses. Yes, that is what we as abuse survivors do. And it is because of the Stockholm Syndrome. It is because of the trauma bonding. We minimize and we deny. It's crazy when you're working with somebody who has come to you because they want to heal from the abusive relationship. And then they suddenly start making excuses or blaming themselves. Oh, well, they did it because I was stubborn, or, they did it because I said no, or, something. And I'm just like, whoa, full stop. Whoa, stop. I want you to write down every rotten thing this person ever did to you, and then it's almost like a slap in the face. It's sad to watch. It really is, because it's painful. It is painful for the person to finally acknowledge that this person was abusive. It is painful because we have to let that fantasy die that they were the mask, that mask was them. No, the mask was not them. The abuser was them. The mask was a mask. So hold on a second. Also, these are for sale on my website. They're great Christmas presents. They're 20 ounces. Just a shameless self-plug. Okay, so there's that. But yeah, no, that is what we do, is we go into abuse amnesia. We minimize it. It's not as bad. Oh no, they did it because they were in a bad mood, or blah, blah, blah. Let me clue you into something. Lots of people have bad moods. They don't abuse people. So if they're abusive, if they're angry, if they're raging, if they're this, if they're that, that is not normal. That is not normal. That is abuse. So don't minimize it. Denial is deadly. Denial is what gets people killed. Denial is what allows the abuse to continue on unchecked. So yeah, you've got to be very, very careful about making excuses for the abuser. That's why it's important to write it out and put it back onto the appropriate person. No, this person was in a bad mood. They chose to be in a bad mood, and they chose to take that bad mood out on me and the kids, or, me and the dog, or, whatever. Put it back, put it back, put it back, put it back. Let that go to the appropriate person. Stop making excuses for the abuse. Stop making excuses for the abuser. And this is part of Stockholm Syndrome. This is part of trauma bonding. This is why I want you guys to get up to date on this and recognize what's going on. It would be great too to read up on trauma bonding so that you understand why your brain is doing what it's doing. So, and it's a maladaptive, trauma bonding is a maladaptive way to stay safe in a very abnormal situation where you're hostage. And basically, when we're in an abusive relationship, we're hostage. We've been taken hostage. So, and our survival depends on this abuser treating us kindly, or so we think. So, and that's why it makes it so hard to leave as well. And that's why the average time leaving, it takes 7 times actually leaving before it finally sinks in and sticks. So, okay. After dealing with my narcissist for so long, I feel numb about life in general. Nothing can shock me. Why have I become so numb about everything and everyone around me? That is so normal. So when we leave the relationship, that is a part of the grieving process, is numbness. And this is going to sound weird, but we are grieving the loss of what could have been had they been normal. So in my book, What's Wrong with Your Dad, I write about, the saddest part about him dying was the if only he'd been sane, if only he'd gotten help, if only he'd worked on himself, if only he loved himself, if only he loved us, if only. And so it's a great sadness when you realize that this person is never going to change. They are never going to get better. They are never going to do anything differently than they're already doing. Their horse is running full bore at the cliff, and both the horse and them are going to go over. And there's not a damn thing any of us can do. So it is a grieving part of it. So remember, in the grieving process, there's numbness. There's days where you're just completely, I feel nothing. I don't want to feel anything. I have no joy. I have no whatever. So think of it this way. We've been running at high for days, months, weeks, years, right? When we finally get out, it's like now there's none of that drama. There's none of that chaos. There's none of that what ifing, like, oh my gosh, are they okay? Do I need to return the text? Do I need to da-da-da-da? And so it's almost like a letdown in a way, it's almost like and so now we start the grieving process, and the grieving process can last 3 years because it's complicated grief. This is not just like somebody died. No, this asshole or assholette is still walking around and breathing. So we are grieving the loss of somebody who is still alive. And that is going to be the most difficult grief that you are ever going to go through. So part of that is, it's just, we're numb. We're numb. We're absolutely numb. And the difference between situational and clinical. So if the numbness lasts, like you find no joy in anything at all for like 3 months or more, that's clinical depression. Okay, so clinical depression is there's not enough dopamines, endorphins, serotonins, epinephrines, norepinephrines to stimulate the brain to feel good. So normally, we eat a good meal and we're like, damn, that was good. Or we have great sex and we're like, woo, baby, that was good. Or we go out for a jog and we're like, damn, runner's high, So if our brains are unable to do that, then it's clinical. It means that the senders and receivers are not producing the appropriate amount of feel-good chemicals in order for us to feel good. So if this has been going on for 3 months or more, get to a doctor and get on an antidepressant. So there's that. Situational depression is leaving an abuser. We are going to feel numb for a certain amount of time. We are going to feel like no joy for a certain amount of time, but it's not going to be a consistent 3 months. Does that make sense? So keep an eye on that, because that might be clinical depression. So just FYI. But that is normal coming out of an abusive relationship because we are grieving the loss of the illusion that we had that this person was wonderful and good and kind and, our soulmate and this, that, and the other thing. So, yeah, so allow yourself to grieve. But if it's going on for 3 months or more, where like consistently you're not feeling joy in literally anything, you're having a hard time getting up out of bed, you're not showering, you're not taking care of yourself, get into a doctor, get on antidepressants. Absolutely. But don't just, here's the big thing, is that we come out of an abusive relationship and unfortunately our inner child is running the show if we're not working on it. And the inner child will go, oh, I don't feel good. I want something to make me feel better now, and either runs headlong into another relationship that usually ends up being abusive, or I need something to feel good. I want medication right now. No, you do, trust me, you do not want to get on medication. Medication should be a last line of defense. After you've done all of the other work, and if the brain chemicals are still not firing, then yes, go to a doctor and get on an antidepressant. But it pisses me right the fuck off when I see primary care physicians going, oh, well, this person is grieving, so I think they should get on an antidepressant. And I'm like, no, they need to grieve. Give them a year. And then if they're still depressed after a year of this normal grief, then we can talk about that. But remember, primary care physicians get less than 3 weeks training in mental health issues. Yeah, you heard me say that right. Less than 3 weeks training in mental health issues. So there that is. All right. Okay. I hope that answered the question. I don't have any friends or family in my life. All of them were toxic. I love my own company, but how do I get over feeling like I don't have people and envious of other people with family or friends? So the envious feelings are always going to be there. They are. My worst day of the year is Father's Day because I had a biological dad, but he was a fucking asshole. So I hate Father's Day because it's like you get all the ads where all the kids are with their dad and the dad's all supportive and he's playing baseball with them and all of that. And, it's one of those days where I'm like, yeah, I didn't have that, and then I go and write, So the way that you work on that is, okay, so friends and family. So what can you do to meet people of like mind? Okay. For me, I don't need a dad. I'm an adult now. I don't need a dad. What I do need to do is process the sadness that I have when that comes up, like on Father's Day, or the anger that comes up on Father's Day. But with the friends and the family, with the friends. So helping to get rid of the envy is, okay, there's a problem, right? Buddhist worry chart. Is there a problem? Yes. I don't have any friends. Okay, what can you do about it? So you go start doing things that you love. The reason why we are surrounded by toxic friends when we get out of an abusive relationship is because that's what has surrounded us, either because of our family of origin or because of our abuser or whatever. And so we have to clean out our friend closet and get rid of all of the toxic family and the toxic friends. But then we have the ability to go out and fill that closet back up again with family and friends, maybe not blood, but family and friends of our choosing. So you go do things that you enjoy. Do what you love. There will be like-minded people, and trust your gut. Work on yourself. Make sure that your self-esteem is rock solid. The Self-Esteem Workbook by Glenn Schiraldi. Make sure your boundaries are rock solid. The Disease to Please by Harriet Breaker. When you go out and you do things you love, you're going to meet like-minded people. But do be aware of, does this person remind me of anybody? Is this person healthy? Have your list of deal breakers. Seriously, I cannot stress that enough. Have your list of deal breakers. And this goes for family, friends, lovers, etc. What are your deal breakers? So whoever is your friend has to be healthy. No toxicity, no disrespect, no lying, no cheating, no stealing, no rewriting history, no gaslighting, no histrionics, no drama. Do you see where I'm going with that? Have your list of deal breakers. And the second one of these people crosses your line, be done. You can say no, and it's okay. And that's a hard one for us coming out of abuse, whether it's from a toxic family or a toxic relationship. So there is that. Can abusive parents have multiple personalities and be unaware of the things they have consistently done? Is that different from NPD, BPD, and APD? Okay. So that's wow. So there is such a thing as DID. So that is dissociative identity disorder. However, what I see abusers do is that they abuse and then they deny having abused. And that's not because they've got multiple personalities. It's because they're lying sacks of shit. So let's make the differentiation right there. So, so with NPD, which is narcissistic personality disorder, borderline personality disorder, and antisocial personality disorder, when someone has the dark triad, narcissism, Machiavellian control freak, and antisocial personality disorder or psychopath, they are more inclined to lie like nobody's business. So they'll abuse, and then deny that it ever happened. Oh, that never happened. I never said that. That never occurred. Yeah, they do that because they tell the story that they can live with. So it is not multiple personalities. Multiple personalities is when there's alters that are completely different and have a different name and have a different possible gender and have a different age and have a different, those are alters, okay? But with NPD, dark triad, they will abuse and then lie about it. Oh, that never happened. Oh, no, you know, that kind of thing. So hope that answered the question. Okay, I am recovering from COVID at home. Oh God, I am so sorry. I'm glad you're recovering, but dear God, I'm sorry you got it. It has been a month. I really feel my mental health is suffering and I'm starting to miss my ex. Oh, Lord. Okay, who I've been no contact with for 9 months. Any advice? Stay no contact. So this is really hard. This whole pandemic thing has been really incredibly hard on people. It's been very isolating. And it's hard because now we are going again into the second or third wave of this stuff. And and we've all been, you know, social distancing, quarantining, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They did a study on people who have had COVID, and they did say that anxiety and depression are much worse in people that are recovering from COVID than people who have never had it. I think it's because there's a little bit of a stigma. It's like people are like, oh my God, I don't want to be anywhere near you because I don't want to get it, and blah, 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 blah. And it's also because we're isolating, you know, we're social distancing. We're not being around people. Humans are pack animals. We love to be around other people, especially if you're an extrovert. And it's really hard doing this whole pandemic, quarantining, social distancing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Because it's like, I can't tell you the number of times, like, you know, I've been out and I've run into friends and we're like, oh, no, stay over there. You know, it's because we're all huggers. So, you know, so we start reminiscing, we start fantasizing about, you know, we're missing the good times, we're missing this, we're missing that. So you've got to remind yourself of every rotten thing that person has ever done to you and put it somewhere where you can see it. And I heard a great quote. So, and this was on Elephant Journal, and I can't remember which article it was. I don't think I posted it, but it was about sobriety. And it said the opposite of sobriety is not, or the opposite of using is not sobriety. The opposite of using is community. And I went, that's really fucking profound, because it's true. Because when we're in the thralls of our addiction, right, whether it's alcohol, drugs, or an abusive person, we isolate, or we have been isolated, right? And so the opposite of that is community. So my suggestion would be find a support group. There are tons of support groups out there. Now, the problem of it is I went on one, I can't remember which one it was. I'll try to remember. And it was filled with personality disorder trolls, just attacking anybody who said anything supportive or kind or loving or whatever. So you've got to be very careful about what support groups you go on to. If you do join a support group, it's better to join one that's members only, so that it's a closed group, so that you're not dealing with trolls. And really, it's community. It's knowing you're not alone. It's knowing that you're not the only one. It's knowing that what you're feeling is normal for us having been trauma bonded and for us having been addicted to the intermittent positive rewards. So you're going to write out every rotten thing this person has ever done to you, and you're going to keep it somewhere where you can see. You're going to join some sort of support group for survivors of abuse, one that hopefully is safe, one that is a closed group, that doesn't have trolls, that has an administrator that's actually going to go after them, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that would be my advice. And block every form of communication. Do not allow social media. Don't, block them on social media, block them on email, block them on your phone, block them on everything. And every time you're tempted to go look at their social media, remember, that's just another way of stimulating the endorphins, the dopamines, the serotonins. You're getting your hit. Stop it. Stop. You don't need that. You deserve to be happy. Go onto a support group. Know that you're not alone. Block. Write it out. Remind yourself you deserve to be happy. Start working the Self-Esteem Workbook by Glenn Schiraldi. Start working The Disease to Please by Harriet Breaker. Get onto a good therapist. We're all doing telehealth now. That's what I'm doing. So get with a good therapist in your area. Okay, so I hope that answered the question. And this is common, so you're not alone. All right, how do I know the difference between an anger response versus narcissistic abuse? It's the level. So when you're angry, you can be angry without turning into a screaming Mimi. However, abusers love the high drama. Love it. Live for it. Screaming, yelling, shouting, name calling, throwing things, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And is it appropriate to what's going on? You can be mad at something and not be a screaming Mimi, but abusers never can stop themselves. They go from 0 to 120. So it's like, when I get mad at something, I can be mad. Oh, damn straight, Irish. Hello. But I usually say something along the lines of, I am very angry right now. I let them know. I don't just make them guess, it's like, and here's why I'm angry. Here's the event that happened. And I'm just letting you know, because I'm very angry right now, and I'm going to go outside and work out on the punching bag I have. So, but an abuser doesn't do that. An abuser will be like, you, and screaming and yelling and shouting and name calling and this, that, and the other thing, and never really getting to the point. They're just reveling in the anger, because it's narcissistic supply for them. So it depends on the level of anger. It's like, are they clearly defining what they are angry about? Are they doing you statements? If they're doing you statements, turn around, walk out, because that's them. They're talking about them. The second they go you, okay, yeah, there's 2 fingers pointed outwards, but there's 6 pointed right back at the person doing the pointing. So yeah. So narcissistic abuse is usually raging. They usually rage. Anger is a normal response to being hurt. Hurt. Remember, anger is the bodyguard of hurt. So yeah. Or when I get angry and I recognize that I'm angry, and I can go, okay, I'm angry about this and I am hurt that this happened. Notice nowhere in that sentence was the word you. So that's how you tell the difference. How to shut down the constant internal reminders of past failures or embarrassments. I'm no contact now, but the internal voice remains. Okay, I think I did this either last week or the week before. The internal critic and the external critic. So when we have an internal critic that's going, you did this, you did that, you're not good enough. Why'd you say that? Why'd you do that? Oh my God, you're so stupid, blah, 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 blah. That's when you have to really be mindful, and you have to be like, okay, thank you for your input. Shut the fuck up. Why? Because I say so. I am the boss of this thing. This thing is not the boss of me. I am good enough. I have nothing to be ashamed about. Because our abusers all live in shame. They love to throw the shame. And what they're doing is they're projecting. They're projecting their shame onto us. So you're going to be mindful. You're going to call it out. You're going to put it down. You're going to replace it with a positive. I am good enough. I am smart. I am kind. I am gentle. I am beautiful. I am handsome. I am whatever. Okay. And then what you're going to do is you're going to put it back onto the abuser. Wow, really interesting. I heard the voice of my abuser loud and clear today, and it was saying ba 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 ba. And the truth is, I am not any of those things, and this is who they are. Put it back onto them, trot it out to the barbecue, read it out loud once, burn it. Okay, I think that is about it. We are almost at the top of the hour, so I just wanted to say thank you to everybody. Be safe out there. Next week's show, let me think about that. Holidays. We need to talk about the holidays. We need to talk about how to stay safe during Thanksgiving, how to stay safe during Christmas, what to do if we end up going to a family gathering and there happens to be either family there that is abusive or whatever, what to do, how to handle it. So how to handle the holidays. That's going to be next week's video. So, all right, guys, be good, be kind to yourselves. Please work the workbooks that I talk about. Do the mirror work. Be gentle. Remind yourself of the abuse so that you don't fall back into it. Do not fall for the Hoovers. It's not real. And if you go back, the abuse is going to be 10 times as bad. And I don't want that for you because it sucks. All right, my loves, be good. Have a great week. And I will talk to you next Sunday, and it will be how to stay safe in the holidays, how to handle the holidays. All right, talk to you later. Bye.